Let's go ahead. Should we check back in with Matt Gregory?
Let's check back in with Matt Gregory, who is a sort of an encyclopedia in and of himself in terms of what he's been able to kind of break down for us today. Matt, more tanks rolling down, and with it, history for the U.S. Army as well.
Now, Larry, I'm not getting called in with those tanks. Some of these are armored carriers. You've been sitting with the general. You should know that. So we're seeing more Abrams coming down. We're seeing Strikers. We're seeing, I thought you'd know that. We're seeing, more of this modern military, present era. I'm still waiting to see the future because, just kind of looking down the rundown, there's some things like, robot dogs, things of that nature. That was the first that jumped out to me that I saw on the schedule. But let's get you a little, let's say a treehouse eye view of what's happening right here. And by the way, I do want you to take note as you look across and you see the armored carriers coming through, you see the Strikers, and you see the Bradleys. Look at the bleachers here. These are prime seats for this, and they're empty. It's sparse. There's, on my side, which we really can't get a shot of because we're on the riser, there's, maybe 15, 10 people deep on the, south side of Constitution Avenue, but that's about it. I see. Okay, you'll hear a couple cheers now when some of the folks over here in the carrier start waving to everybody. You can see. Now I can see Simone and Larry the rubber padding underneath the treads as they kind of come down. But we've reached the heavy artillery section of this particular parade. We haven't seen many infantry walking through. It's very fascinating, I think, to see all this as we get to see many of those. Abrams tanks about to come up into the view. You're not going to see them yet, but I will before you do. As they come down, you kind of think about how the military's changed over the years, right? Like that was the point of this. You're seeing those early colonial soldiers pre the creation of the country, and then this is what it's progressed to, and it's going further, right? Like just over the last few weeks, the amount of drone warfare we've seen on the international scene really explains to you how things are changing. Even now, as we watch these armored carriers roll down here, this is almost, it feels like at times, soon to be a bygone era of the Army. Just something to take note of. And many of the people here, by the way, when I was walking among the crowd, it's a mixture of MAGA and a mixture of patriots and a mixture of, many military enthusiasts and veterans. It is a very diverse cross-section of what I've been able to see while walking among the crowd. And obviously you do have the chance for the president because many of his supporters are here cheering on his birthday, but you do have many folks here just to see sort of the majesty of the military, and they've not seen that before. I mean, like I said before, I think sometimes we take it for granted as journalists that we're welcomed onto bases, naval air stations, naval stations, and we see these things up close, but for the average American, you won't be this close to an Abrams tank possibly ever in your life. Now, we've got another group coming through, and I'm not sure if I think we're seeing some of the current era units coming through, and I know there's several corps of the Army that are really being focused here, some of the longest running corps. We started with one of the oldest military units in the country that's still in active duty, which would be the Old Guard, which protects D.C., and we're moving across to, the First Corps. I think we're seeing the Second Corps and the Eighth Corps as well. That's 40,000 to 80,000 people. They represent who are in the military active duty on their way down here now. You did mention, and you were saying it sounds like a rock concert. We just heard Jump from Van Halen. We heard AC/DC. So there's definitely an era associated with this particular military music selection. But I also want to point out, I did hear from a source that there is we know there's a music concert coming up later. When I was here earlier, I did see Lee Greenwood doing his sound check of Proud to be an American. So he's going to be playing at some point after all this, and there may be a surprise country music guest. I'm not sure if that got worked out. I heard that from a source, and I'm not going to say it till I can confirm it. But this is what we're seeing, is that we're going to have this military parade that should go into a concert a little bit now. A country music concert. Perhaps I'll say the artist if I can get a confirmation, but for now, that's kind of what we're seeing. It is a birthday party-like atmosphere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's shows the military, but there's a celebration. There's people, there's music, there's everything, yeah.
The Army, the presidents. Matt Gregory, you did a great job trying to identify what was rolling down Constitution Avenue. I wanted to bring you into the conversation. Anything you noticed?
You had Humvee, M119er, which is a light howitzer. It's a 105 howitzer, 40-round shell. And then closely behind that was M777. And so that's a 155 howitzer. And those are towed howitzers, different than the Paladin southern, which is self-propelled. And so there needs to be some type of vehicle moving that, whether it's a tractor, light, medium, tactical vehicles, which is what you saw.
You know, I remember as a kid kind of playing with all of these. I didn't know the exact names of them, but I'm being much more informed now, General. Thank you so much.